Thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name is Jeremiah Krakowski, and on this podcast, I talk about ways for you to grow in your life and in your business. And if we haven't met before, I've been helping business owners grow 6, 7, and 8 figures for the last 17 years and been coaching people on this for the last 6 years. And so what I want to do is I want to help you get more results, make more money in a business, but also live the best life that you can possibly live. And what I want to talk about today is something that a lot of people that I coach deal with, a lot of people on my social media, and I've dealt with myself. It's one of the biggest factors that keeps us from growing, accomplishing big things, doing hard things, and reaching the next level in our business. And when we can get past this, what I'm going to share with you today, everything opens up for you. What I want to encourage you with is this as well, though. I'm going to bring up some things. Might be triggering to some questions that you might have, some thoughts, some ideas. If thoughts and ideas come up that you're like, hey, I listened to the podcast, go to the hashtag Grow Your Life community on Facebook. It's a Facebook group, and ask those questions in the group because I want to have a dialogue that goes on with this as well. If you're one of my private coaching clients that's listening to this, I might send you this in an email and we can go over some of this together afterwards. Now, what I want to talk about is specifically taking action, figuring things out while you take action, and taking imperfect action to figure out the rest as you go along. This is the number one skill, I believe, that has to be developed to get results in business. And the people that have it win. The people that have it thrive, succeed. The ones that don't have this skill struggle and wonder and think it's everything else but this one thing is why. And they're looking constantly at other things. And this is why. Because we feel like we are not good enough to reach our goals. We're not good enough to get to the next level. I'm not talking about the thing that you do. I'm talking about the process. Marketing and sales and talking and communicating with people and connecting and getting people to buy from you. The process of writing copy, sending out emails, the process of creating ad campaigns, the process of launching new programs and making decisions on which ones are the best ones for you to do. And so we feel like, well, because I have a lack of experience, I don't know what the right things to do. And this is usually rooted in a worry that if I don't do the right thing, bad things will happen. And that to be safe and secure, I have to make sure that I do all the right things. And I better make sure that I have everything figured out before I take action or make a decision. And this pattern prevents us from being a self-starter to go after our goals. Now, I believe anybody who's listening to this right now, you are a self-starter. You are somebody that goes after your dreams. You go after your goals. But whatever area of plateau that you have is tied to something that is blocking you along the way. And what I mean by that is this, is imagine this timeline. Imagine that, there's 10 steps to reach your goal. Okay? Let's say this is launching your offer, this is writing your copy, this is creating your product. But when it comes to putting it out there, crickets, nothing, no results, failure. What I want to do is I want to help you identify what those blind spots are without needing somebody else to tell you what they are. And that's the skill that I'm talking about, is being able to figure it out while you're taking action. Being able to figure out the changes that need to happen in your business, in your life, while you're in the middle of taking the action, while you're in the middle of launching things, not needing to wait until you find somebody that's going to tell you or give you the next step. Not needing to have somebody else tell you what the next thing is to do. And so what we have to do is we have to stop waiting until we get everything that we feel that we need to get started, to start to identify blind spots. We have to detach our emotions and feelings of happiness from our success, our results, or our failure. Our identity can't be tied to, I did all the right things, now what? Or what are the right things? We can't wait until the answer that we're looking for falls into our lap to take action. We have to be proactive to figure it out ourselves, to seek it out actively, not passively. And many times I find that people get afraid of making mistakes along the way in this process. They're not quite sure if they know enough to find the right information, so they don't look at all. They don't even seek out the answer to what they're doing wrong. They're afraid to ask for help. They're afraid to explore maybe what they don't know. They're afraid of looking wrong, asking the wrong question, getting the answer the wrong way, making a mistake, and this creates a cycle. And it's rooted in ultimately feeling like we're not good enough to get the right answers at this time. And so we have to either get them from somebody else, or we're not good enough to seek out the answers because we don't know enough. And so this fear of failure keeps us, when I say fear of failure, I mean the fear of failure of even learning, failing to learn, keeps us from being courageous in exploring things that we've never looked at before, seeing different perspectives, maybe taking a look inside and saying, okay, what's not working? What do I need to change? Putting in the work needed to learn and grow. And many times this can come in through experiences either from childhood or the workplace, where we ultimately feel like, I don't know enough about this topic to know where to look, okay? Then ask somebody actively where to look instead of waiting for somebody to tell you. Instead of waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. If you've been in a corporate setting, you'll notice everything kind of trickles down from leadership in a corporate setting that tells you, okay, this is your next step. This is your next action. This is the next thing that you need to do. This is the next action that you need to take. And we wait until we hear those things before we take action because we don't have authority. So when you go from that, if you've ever been that, to a business realm where you are the authority in your life, you have to flip the script a little bit. We can't wait until, the right podcast comes out, or we connect with the right coach, or we take the right course, or read the right book to get the answer. We have to actually actively, proactively seek out the answer, seek out help, seek out mentors, seek out the answer. And so this is kind of the side of that, is especially if you've felt like, I can't be an inconvenience. Many times in a corporate setting, it could be an inconvenience to go ask the boss for the answer. So you had to go figure it out before you tried to ask. You had to go get everything together first before you could even ask the question that you were looking for to help you, and working in an uphill battle. And I see people do this all the time on my social media, and that I coach with, is that they have so much skill right here, but they don't know even how to ask their question because it hasn't been safe to ask the questions that they want to ask. But they don't want to admit that I don't know how to ask this question. And so they kind of like beat around the bush asking different questions because they're not coming to grips with the truth of, maybe I don't know everything that I need to know on this topic. Or if they know that they don't know everything, it's that feeling of, okay, well, then I need somebody else to tell me what I don't know, instead of asking somebody to tell us. This is a very kind of nuanced type of a thing. And this is why communication is so important. One of the biggest things, if you need more business, asking if somebody has referrals. If you need more business, asking if there's anything that you can do for service. The reason why this is a major issue with business is because it leads directly to us being afraid to ask our clients for their credit card. It leads directly to being afraid to ask for the close and ask for the sale and send emails out that do an ask for people to buy what we offer, to market. And so we find this as a root of a lot of the reasons why people may have the best product and service. They may be very charismatic on video, but when it comes time to putting it all together to get a sale, they falter because they're wanting people to come to them, be attracted to them, instead of seeking out business. Now, I'm not talking about spamming people. When you run an ad campaign, when you use SEO, when you launch something and put content out there, that's being proactive. But at the same time, in your content, on your landing page, in your ad, you need to have an ask of some kind. In your email, you need to have an ask of some kind, asking people, hey, schedule a call, purchase now, buy now, a call to action. But when we have a fear of if we're doing all the right things or the wrong things, what happens is our brains get so focused in on, well, I better not do the wrong thing. I better do all the right things. I better not mess up. I better make all the right phrases. I better say all the right things, that we become so focused on the part of our brain for survival of not making a mistake that we literally make all the mistakes. Our fear of not doing anything wrong produces wrong actions. And so the root of this comes in from, again, that's why I said feeling like we're not good enough, self-critical thoughts. I'm not smart enough. I'm not likable enough. I don't know enough. I don't have enough time. I'm not attractive enough. I don't have enough money, enough social media following. These are some of the things that I hear from people often, or I just don't know how to do it. This is another thing, not enough knowledge. And that's a big one as well, feeling like we have to have all the knowledge, all the know-how of how to do what we want to do before we even get started. Feeling like I need to have all the knowledge of how the pieces fit together before I get started. This is a big one often, and it's the root is shame. We feel ashamed of the fact that maybe we are not as good as people that we're comparing ourselves to. And so we feel like one day when I get to where they're at, then I can have the business that they have. Then I can finally ask for the help from my mentor, or even seek out a mentor and get help. I see people often that haven't even scheduled a 15-minute call with me because they feel like they don't know enough or have all the pieces together yet. This is the root of this. It's feeling shame and self-critical thoughts that we have to feel like we are good enough before we put stuff out there. Feel like we are good enough before we ask for the close, before we ask for a client to pay us, before we make an offer for somebody to put in their email address for a lead magnet, before we start a conversation with a prospect that may even be asking for your help on social media. We feel like because maybe I don't have all the pieces together, I'm not good enough to do those things. And that's the root of this. And so how do we shift that? I want to tell you this. Anybody who's listening to this right now, you are good enough for your dreams. You are completely adequate for everything that you are going out and seeking and doing. And I know as I say that right now, you may have self-critical thoughts that are telling you why what I just said isn't true. Whatever that is, that's kind of the root issue here. And if you're not having that, maybe you're just like, I just don't know what the things to do are. When we say I don't know what the things to do are, that is still a feeling of inadequate of knowledge, okay? And so we have to realize that even the amount of knowledge that you have right now is enough for you, is good enough, is adequate enough for you to impact people's lives. Because think of how many other people's lives you've impacted before. I want you to remember that. You're attractive enough to be on social media. You might be comparing yourselves to people out there that get a lot of followers because they're a model or something like that, or we get stuck on what we think we should be for people to resonate with us. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, really. We end up manifesting the very thing that we're afraid of that we're saying. We come across as unconfident, as untrustworthy, as somebody that doesn't believe in themselves, and we project that energy through our social media. So then when we're trying to connect with people through our landing pages, so that when we're trying to get people to our website to purchase, through our emails, when we're trying to get people to maybe schedule a call with us or buy a product, whatever form of communication you're using, we feel like we're not good enough. And then what happens is we project that energy, and other people pick up on that and say, oh, something's off. Maybe they're not the right fit for me. That comes across in that way. How do I know this? Because I was doing it for the longest time, for a very long time, and not attracting the right clients that I wanted, not attracting the clients that I wanted, because I was afraid of feeling like I wasn't good enough, wasn't adequate enough to even teach this stuff that I have on this podcast. Even recently. And the thing is this is a big part of this too. You're going to constantly have those thoughts. There's not a day where those thoughts just disappear. But what it is you learn how to manage and control them. You don't allow them to dictate your focus. You don't allow them to dictate your action taking. You develop courage and confidence in yourself from doing it over time to do it repeatedly. But many of you, I know you're at the edge of this. Feeling like you need to do certain things before you can finally get the result that you are looking for. That there's something that you're waiting to unlock. I want to challenge you to maybe spend some time journaling and writing down. I do this on a notebook myself when I'm processing through things. I write down these little things, these little ideas that come up. Might be an image that you get that pops in your head, maybe from a past situation that you need to forgive. Maybe bitterness that we're holding on to from the past. A past situation that we're projecting. There's different reasons, and what we can do is when we become aware of them, we can then unlock them to get to the next level. So for instance, if we're somebody that's waiting for other people to give us what we think that we need to be successful, right? That's really what it is. We think that other people need to validate us. We think that they need to give us knowledge and information to be successful. We're waiting until we get all the pieces together, could be other people even, or just ourselves. We're waiting for ourselves to catch up. We're waiting until we do something differently, yet we're the very ones that stop doing what we need to do to be successful. You see how that kind of doesn't really work? And so if you've been waiting for yourself to finally arrive at the place to take action, the day is today. You are good enough. You are enough. You are adequate enough to do all the things that you're setting out to do. And you don't need other people's approval to tell you that you are good enough. That's the big one. Which, by the way, I would bet you have a lot of people in your life that tell you how awesome and incredible you are. But our self-critical thoughts trump them. They override what we hear from others. And what we do is when we hear one single negative thought, we suck it in, and that becomes the thought that we spin around in our head. This is what I was doing for a long time too. And so what we have to do is we have to learn to kind of silence that inner critic. Silence those critical thoughts that tell us that we're not good enough. Remember the successes that we've had in the past. and keep our eyes focused on the vision that we have for the future. We need to remember that vision of where we're going, who we're wanting to impact. We need to keep our target customer in mind, because when we're creating content, it needs to be tailor-made for that target customer that we're trying to reach the most. The people that are put in front of us. Maybe you're like, I need to wait until I have a big platform before I can speak out. Your platform right now is the people in your life, your friends, your family, your social media, the people that you already interact with. You don't need 100,000 people to have an impact. You have an impact right now, right where you are right now. Okay? And so I want to just kind of encourage you in this, is that everybody who's ever been successful goes through this. Every one of them. There's not a single person on the planet that has what you want, that has accomplished what you see out there, that hasn't gone through this exact process that we're talking about right now. And what they realized was they have to take action imperfectly. They have to take action and figure it out. Figure out what they don't know as they go along. They have to take imperfect action and figure out the rest while they go through it. They can't allow the fear of making a mistake, or here's a big one, the fear of taking action and getting no results. The fear of failing, the fear of being rejected, the fear of people thinking that they're a fraud. By the way, I get a lot of fraud comments on my ads. Used to bother me, not anymore. I have way more people that are like, this is the best course I've ever bought. A lot of my courses that I sell. But what was funny was, now I'm like, you know what? I let those people spin in my head for too long. I let them take up real estate, take up space in my head, the negative thoughts. And I took their thoughts on as my own. I took their thoughts on as, okay, this is what I feel about this. And then I would start to project that into my business, project that into my ad copy. I would write ad copy and sales copy trying to defend myself against haters. And that didn't convert to sales. I had to shift it and visualize the people like you that are listening to this, that listen to my content, that are my coaching clients, that buy my products, being excited and impacted by what I'm sharing. That's what I had to visualize. And so then when I write the copy, when I write the ad copy, whenever I make a podcast, I'm imagining you, the person who's listening to this right now, watching me, whether I've met you or not. There's a number of people that I have met that listen to this podcast personally, so I keep all the ones that I've met personally in mind. The people that I coach one-on-one especially. That's who I'm talking to on these videos, on my podcast, on my content. I'm talking to people like them. I'm talking to them through the breakthroughs that I've come through, the breakthroughs that have gotten me to that next level. And that's what I want to encourage you with right now, is the people that you're meant to impact. You're going to take those breakthroughs that you've walked through and pass them on to people and impart them, just like what I did in this podcast today. That's what you're going to do in your content, in your materials, in your marketing with confidence. When I started this podcast, I didn't have it all figured out. The early episodes, I think back and I'm like, man, I didn't even know what I was doing. And now I'm like, I'm so thankful I took action every single week, a new podcast, every single day, a new piece of content on social media, launched some products, got sales, have a thriving business that's growing and getting results so I can impact people just like you. I'm so thankful for that I didn't let the fear of it not working out get me stuck. And I know a lot of you know, I've had a lot of success in business before. But I never went out there on my own and did it. I was always working with a partner, a business partner, somebody that I had worked with. This business was the first time I went off on my own, and I had a lot of that imposter syndrome to deal with and to work through. The same stuff that you're dealing with is what I dealt with. And so coming on the other side of that, the biggest thing I can pass on is take action and figure it out as you go. Don't wait until you have it all figured out for you to take action. Figure out the pieces. You know enough to put it all together, but you don't need it all perfect before you take action. You don't need everything perfect before you do the thing. You can go after it. You are good enough and you are adequate enough for everything in your dreams that you have today, right now. Okay? Now, if you're somebody that wants to talk more with me on this one-on-one, I'd love for you to schedule a 15-minute call with me. On my website, you can go click on the tab that says coaching. You can go to jeremiahkrakowski.com/free call and schedule a 15-minute call with me where we can talk about where you're stuck, what you've been going through, and what your goals are to help develop a strategy for you to get to the next level. I don't use these as sales calls. What I use these as is to connect with my audience, to hear where they're at so I can make better content, better podcasts, better training to help serve you. And if at some point one-on-one coaching together makes sense, I'd love to do that with you. That's on my website as well. Check out some of the other podcasts that I have. Make sure to plug into the hashtag Grow Your Life community. And if you also want to win a 30-minute, I offer a 15-minute one for free on my website, but a 30-minute coaching session with me. Leave hashtag Grow Your Life on my Instagram, and I pick one winner every single week on Sunday that leaves hashtag Grow Your Life in the comment section of my Instagram post to win that. Grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon.